Good morning again. Welcome to Snippets of Jamaican Music. I'm your host, Richard Blackford, and I want us to take a walk back to the sound system days. The last time we spoke, we talked about Hugh Roy and his rise as a sound system DJ to the legend that he subsequently became. But Jamaican music had its genesis in terms of the popular music in coming out of the dancehall. As I said in the last video, dancehall was essentially a replacement, an option for the small man, poor people, to go listen to some music because they couldn't afford to go to the middle class uptown sessions that were kept at places like Success Club, Beaumont, Glass Bucket. Poor man can't put on them jacket, I have no money for buy them jacket, and can't pay the gate fee for going listen to the big band sound. So the sound system was created as an option to that kind of big band entertainment, and more so for the small man. And so in Kingston in particular, some of the more popular dancehall areas would have been places like Chocamo Lawn and Wellington Street in West Kingston, Club Havana in East Kingston, known as Rockford there. You had Foresters Hall on North Street, and then you have the Young Men's Progressive Hall on Drummond Street. Then you have Caterers Lawn in a Heroes Park, and Caterers Lawn was a place where the big sound called the Mighty Waldron used to string up and play. You had other sounds like Duke Reed's Trojan, and everybody would know Duke Reed as the subsequent owner Treasure Isle and the Duke Reed Treasure Isle label. Then you have the mighty Coxson's Downbeat, owned by Clement Dodd, another big sound. In fact, this was the biggest sound at the time, was Tom the Great Sebastian. Tommy Wang owned that sound. Tommy Wang was an electrician, and he was noted for building his boxes, building his amplifiers. And in those days, apart from the music, one of the big attractions in a dancehall was the amplifier. I remember my first dance would have been around 1973. I went to a dance up at Mountain View where the mighty King Tubby's was playing. The great Hugh Roy was at control. And the thing that really grabbed my attention more than anything was, apart from the sound, the big speaker cabinets, the steel and them tie up in the ackee tree and the mango tree, and you hear the sound as throw out after you, was the system itself, the amplifiers laid out on this big 6-foot trestle table, and the great Hugh Roy in them sweatsuit. Basically I run from end to end because it's him alone that control the sound. Him is both the selector and the DJ. And then, of course, you have, because you can't afford for the amplifier broke down, so you have on-site engineer, a man with 2 tubes in his pocket. Because if something go wrong, him ease out the tube and put in a new one so that the dance go on uninterrupted. So essentially, that's where the thing is coming from. Now, but the birth of the sound system, as I stated in my last video, the sound system is essentially what pushed the recording industry in Jamaica. In fact, in the old days, when the big sounds clash, and contrary to popular belief, the biggest sound in Jamaica at that time would have been Tom the Great Sebastian. You have to give some props to the Blake brothers from Meritone, because Meritone is coming from that time, from the 1950s. Meritone was a sound coming out of St. Thomas, and then behind them you have other sounds the Mighty Waldron, you have Doc's Thunderstorm, and of course I mentioned Coxsone. Now Coxsone came into the business about 1951. I think Coxsone's mother had a little restaurant in Kingston there, somewhere around, I think it's Lard Street. The restaurant was called Nanny's Corner at the intersection of Lard Street and Lad Lane. The family actually originated in St. Thomas, and so mother moved into Kingston, and she had a little sound thing, a little speaker and a turntable that she played some music in at the restaurant. And Clement, dad, used to come there on a weekend particularly and try out the man for spin to tune. Of course, by that time, the great Trojan, Duke Reed, had already established himself with the Trojan song, and so that Coxsone would get a little taste of a Trojan sound system as well after him catching practice for the mother little thing inside of the restaurant. Play some Ella Fitzgerald tune. In those days, that's the kind of music we were listening to, music that was coming out of America. And ultimately, Coxsone got a chance as he grew older, in young teenage years, or late teenage years rather. He got a chance to go on a farm work program. And when he go America up on the farm work thing, he made a little money and he bought some music equipment, turntable, amplifiers, and sent them back to Kingston on the ship. And then he instruct the man them down there to build up some boxes for him. And so by the time he come back in the early 1950s, him start Coxsone's, or Sir Coxsone's downbeat sound system. That is the birth of the great Coxsone. And so he now decided to take on the existing establishment. Tom the Great Sebastian was the big song. We have Duke Reed, as I mentioned, the Trojan song. Now, when the man they have a song clash, it's a big thing, Duke Reed was, he literally played his role. So when he come into his dance, when him clash with your sound, is a man who wear all him crown on him head and him cape over him neck, and is a man who will come and him have a four-man lift him up on him throne and carry him up on the sound system console, and then him start him thing. He's back him cape and put on some in big tune. Now, a feature of the dance at that time was what we call the spotters. The competing sound man always try easy in a man, the competition entourage, because what you want to do is to know what kind of record the next man have. And Tommy Wang, because Tommy Wang was an established businessman, Tommy Wang always have the latest music, you name it. And we're talking about the R&B and the blues tune them coming out of America. It was a common thing for these sound system operators to scrape off the label for the record, so that the spotter them can't read what is on the label. And ultimately, a man come with all a new tune, and there's a common thing as well for a man, when a man come with a tune that wicked, and then put it on the turntable, the next song have to pack up, because you don't have no answer to that. That's that record where all up on the turntable for all an hour, and the dance just not let it go. And so that basically drove the development of our recording industry. In the mid-50s, Stanley Motors, and his long time Stanley Motors in a business, started to do recording. So people would go down to Stanley Motors and them record a little poetry or a little song kind of thing. In those days, you were basically recording on soft wax, and as the technology developed, the recording thing moved to more soluble wax, and so ultimately the sound man them now start to encourage local singers, local acts to produce records for them. By about 1957-58, I think ZQI, which became RJR, established its own recording studio, and so that helped expanded the recording industry. You also had, I think Siaga by that time had come into the business and established his own recording outfit as well. And we have to give Siaga credit here, because Siaga is a man who is, it is well known, that was actively involved in the recording industry at the time, and helped to launch the music. In fact, Siaga produced one of the big tunes. I think the tune was called Manio, of that vintage. And then we had Folks Brothers, who established O Carolina, which essentially became one of the biggest tunes out of Jamaica in that era. In fact, the arrangement of that music and you know, has to, some credit has to be given to Prince Buster, who was actually the man who organized it, you know. And the point I'm making here is that there was an interlinkage of sorts between all of the different parts. We talked about Coxsone, we talked about Duke Reid. People don't know that Prince Buster actually started out with Coxsone. As Coxsone grew his sound system, Prince Buster worked with him as a boxman alongside man like the great King Stitt, and them basically was responsible for putting the sound together at the venues. They were responsible for stringing up the sound, but in particular, Prince Buster was a spotter for Coxsone. So Prince Buster would have go to Tommy Wang dance, he would have go to Duke Reid dance, wherever the big sound would play, the Mighty Waldron, and basically go scout out, and if you can get a chance to thief the man record, he do that too, because the record was the ammunition. And when you have a dance and the dance ramp, and it's your time to play, and you can't match the sound you play, you have to pack up and leave. And so Prince Buster was that man for Coxsone. Problem with Prince Buster and Coxsone was that Coxsone don't pay the money. Coxsone had a reputation, not only with the recording business. Coxsone paid the man them $2 for a record, or £2 for a record. But Buster always complained that when him go to the dance and him try easy to find out where the man him play, or if he pinch where the man him record, fight broke out and him get made bust up, and Coxsone wouldn't even pay him doctor bill. And so out of frustration, in the I think around 1961-62, Buster decided to left Coxsone, and he set up his own recording studio. By that time, he have a ton load of experience, and he set up his own sound system. And in fact, he had a big sound that was, this was established on Orange Street, and the next time we get together, I am going to touch on some of that music that is coming out at that time. So what I'm doing today, I'm just laying the table for the narrative that we're going to be looking at as far as the origin and the development of the sound system movement is concerned, because we tend to see dancehall as a thing, a style of music, which yes, in the current era, that's what it is. But in those days, the dancehall was a place. That was where the average Jamaica man could have go, let down them hair, you know, put on your pretty dandan and carry your girl out, and you have a night out listening to some of the early sound. The dancehall gave a break to people like the players of instruments. That painting you see behind me there is a tribute to ska, which featured the mighty Don Drummond in his felt hat there on the saxophone, and some of the seminal players of instrument coming out of Alpha Boys School, which laid the foundation for not only the development of Jamaican music generally, but became the base. They were the instrumentalists behind the ska. They were the ones who drove the local music to the point where it became what we know, take for granted. And of course, I can't leave you without us bringing your attention to my creation here, my reggae t-shirt. Visit my website at yardabroad.com, that's YARDABRAAWD.com, and pick up a few of the shirt. Until next time, it's me again.